ESPN and the American Le Mans Series welcome you to live qualifying coverage from round 9 of the 2013 season. It's the Oak Tree Grand Prix from Virginia International Raceway. The penultimate round of the 2013 season, the penultimate round of the American Le Mans Series. And welcome everyone, Brian Till along with John Hindhaugh, Rick DeBrule, and Justin Bell. There's your qualifying order. 5 separate classes qualify in 4 different sessions. 15 minutes in each session, and you are guaranteed 10 minutes in that session of green flag running if it's going to be official. The qualifying order, GTC, then GT, Prototype Challenge, and then P1 and P2 combined. Welcome, everyone. And it is hot today, John.
It is, and this is a track that needs rhythm, and so far we've seen nothing at all of that from some really, really good drivers. They're just not getting their head around this. I don't know whether it's because it's contract time, it's the end of the season, but they are overdriving this track, which might mean this is really, really entertaining.
A GT Challenge up first for qualifying, and that championship still very much wide open. Jerome Bleekemolen and Cooper McNeil hold just a 4-point advantage over Nelson Canache and Spencer Pumpelly. But look at that. Enrique Cisneros is still in it, and maybe Patrick Dempsey with an outside shot. But you look at how close it is, and it has been tight all year long. For Bleekemolen and McNeil, they've had some ups and downs, but they're trying as hard as they can to hold on to this championship. For more from the Alex Job camp, here's Jamie Howe with Cooper McNeil.
Yes, Jerome Bleekemolen does have qualifying duties today, but Cooper McNeil is the defending GTC champion. It was actually here 1 year ago where he clinched that GTC championship, but Cooper, only a 4-point advantage this year, so it's a very different scenario for you. How does this team attack that?
Well, the WeatherTech portion, the WeatherTech Alex Job Racing team always come to the racetrack to win. So that's what we're going to try and do this weekend. So we're going to be pushing flat out the whole time. We're not going to be conservative in any manner, and we're going to be pushing very hard for the win, and hopefully going to repeat the championship this year.
Now, when we talk about VIR, it's a very narrow circuit. There's not a whole lot of room for passing, so how important is this qualifying session?
Qualifying is extremely important, but here it's even more important because, it's, like you said, it's very hard to pass. There's only probably 1 or 2 corners on this entire track that you can pass at. So qualifying is extremely important, but I have no doubt that Jerome will do very well.
There was a little bit of a mishap, guys, during that last practice session. I'm not sure you can see it right now because the door is open, but this car has had a repair job since that last practice session, so the car is not 100% tip-top shape, but I'm sure Jerome's still going to do everything that he can do. But right behind them in the championship is Level 5 Motorsports. Kelly Stavis is down there.
We're at Flying Lizard here, just 4 points back, Jamie, from the Alex Job Racing team. Spencer Pumpelly getting ready to qualify the 45 car. Spencer, when you look back on the season, 5 podiums, including a couple of wins. Has it been this consistency that's gotten this team into this championship hunt?
Yeah, it's been consistency for sure. You know, I think everyone in GTC's had some sort of issue at some point. We had a radiator at Baltimore. The 22 had an issue last weekend. Other than our 2 disaster races, we've been really, really strong. So we just need consistency again, and hopefully we get to Petit with enough of a, in the points hunt so that we have a shot at it.
Flying Lizard, of course, a very familiar name in this series, but they've been in GT. They made the move to GTC. How impressed are you with them to have made these adjustments and to put you in the championship hunt?
I'm extremely impressed. You know, it took a race or 2 for them to really get a handle on it, but since then they've been awesome. Cars have been fast all year. Nelson Canache, my co-driver, he's been stellar too. So plan is to qualify towards the front, give it to Nelson, let him run away with it, and hopefully I'll have the easiest day I can tomorrow.
Well, they're off to a strong start. Fastest in that last practice session. Who you got, Jeremy Shaw?
I'm with Sean Edwards here, the NGT Motorsports pit, Sean, and this championship battle is still ongoing here, but you don't seem to have a lot of friends these last few races.
No, it's been quite tough for the GT cars. I've had 2 collisions, one at Motorsport and one in Kota there. Both, luckily only cost us 1 position in the last one, but still cost us the win, which was unfortunate. And valuable points, if we look at what happened there, we would be leading the championship by 4 points if we take Motorsport on that. But such is racing. I'm a bit surprised the Corvette didn't get a penalty last race because it was obviously, hit me from behind, and normally that should be a stop plus 60. But the race director deemed it whatever racing. So I guess if you're leading, then you're allowed to hit people off. But what can I do?
Prospects for qualifying this afternoon. Track is very slippery out there.
Yeah, it is very slippery, very dusty. A lot of cars going off and bringing this stuff on. It reminds me a bit like Zandvoort, where I raced last weekend, where you got the sand and it becomes really, really slippery after a few laps. So I would suspect we see the guys do the times of the first 2 laps and then it's a drop off after.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fascinating qualifying session.
Fascinating qualifying in GTC, but GT is just as intense. And there's a look at, well, it was Oak Tree Corner, but the Oak Tree no longer there.
Never seen it. So
yeah, you've never seen it, John.
That's how it's always looked for me here.
Take a look at GT driver points, and Rick DeBrule, you get thrown into the deep end in the middle of a championship hunt. GT is just as good as GTC.
Exactly. You know, it's interesting looking at that corner, especially talking with some of the drivers. As much as they miss the Oak Tree and the view that they would get going through here, a lot of them say it's now easier to drive that corner because they don't have to look around the tree, which is what they used to have to do to figure out their apex points. So while we've got this great race in terms of a championship, with a new sort of track right here, it'll be interesting to see how it kind of does. And we've seen all day people going off at this corner. And is it just because they've been testing the limits, or because that physical point that they used to have as their breaking point, the point they used to be able to look at that tree and know where they were, is now missing?
Antonio Garcia, Jan Magnussen lead the championship in the number 3 Corvette. Consistency, Justin.
Well, your consistency, but here, when you come in, I mean, just look at their average start and average finish. But when you are at this track, being consistent is going to be about being disciplined, and consistency could unravel here very, very easily.
And Corvette looking to qualify up front. Magnussen, Garcia trying to hold on to their championship lead. For more from Corvette, let's go to Kelly.
Brian, just to show you how intense this battle is for the championship in GT, Jan's got a slick new do to make sure there's absolutely no additional drag on the car. No. Jan, it's all off, he says. Starting at Sebring, you guys didn't make 70%, had no points. Could you ever imagine with 2 races to go, you'd have a fairly comfortable lead in this championship?
No, absolutely not. It's been since Sebring for the 3 car, we've scored well at almost every race. We've had 3 wins. The last 2 both were a surprise to us, especially the one in Austin, because we simply didn't have the speed there. But I think the key to the success we've had this year and the championship lead that we have is that we've just kept scoring. We did a little bit the same last year, but once we got in the lead, and then last year we got to the lead about halfway through, and then it just turned pear-shaped for the rest of the season with one accident after another, mostly first corner stuff that took us out. So now we're just trying to, you know, we're not aiming to win here and close the championship or anything. We're aiming to get as many points as we can to try and take some pressure off for Petit.
All right, well, they do have a 13-point buffer. Thank you, Jan, and good luck to you. And another big battle is the manufacturers' battle, and Jamie's at BMW.
Well, Dirk Mueller also still in that Drivers' Championship chase. It's that 13-point lead. And Dirk, with 5 podiums this season, you guys have 1 victory, but you're down on the straight line speed is what you guys keep saying. Here at VIR, how big of an issue is that going to be when you need these championship points?
Well, you know, the points is one thing, the speed is another thing. You know us, we are really fighting. I'm really, really happy and proud to be part of the BMW Team RLL. We are really fighting. We are trying to maximize everything to really be up there. You said it, 5 podiums, and I want to finish on the podium here as well. You know, another victory would be nice. You know, I'm still smiling about last event in Austin. It was great racing with Antonio. I know him from BMW times back, and you know, when we were doing World Touring Car, it was actually quite fun. It didn't play out because traffic really, really hurts us. That's our biggest disadvantage, you know, when people dive into us and we can't get out of the corner like we would. But nevertheless, we are fighting, and you said it. I mean, it's 13 points. We are right there.
Now, you mentioned wanting to get that podium position. In order to stay in the manufacturer's title chase, you guys have to win. It's not just a podium. You have to win. So how hard do you push for that?
Yeah, let's win. So it's that easy. Hey, that championship, you know, we're talking it every time, years by years. It's so intense. You never know where you end up at the end. You really want to try to be on the podium. You really try to win. We thought we're closer here, as the straight is not that long, but it's still looking like we are losing time on the straights here by big amount. But you know, we are pushing, we're trying hard, and let's see. Cross fingers.
You guys certainly had some good luck along the way as well. One other manufacturer that's gunning hard for this championship, Jeremy Shaw, is SRT.
And Corvette is it's certainly in good shape in the drivers and the teams and the manufacturers championship. For Ole Gavin and Tommy Milner, however, the car drivers of car number 4, you were looking really good one race ago, but boy, Oliver Gavin, how quickly things can change.
Yeah, I mean, Kota was extremely tough for us. I mean, we were looking to score some great points there, but unfortunately we had a big mechanical problem there. We couldn't finish the race, scored 0, which is pretty unusual in this series. And so our teammates won that, so they got the jump on us, and they're good 18 points in front now. So yeah, it's going to be an uphill struggle for us this for the rest of the season. But the main thing here this weekend is to try and secure the Manufacturers and Teams Championship, and we're pretty close to that for Chevrolet. So that's our focus for the weekend, and then we just see what happens with the Drivers' Championship after this event. And yeah, we know it's going to be tough for us, but the 3 cars are in a good position. And yeah, we just got to go all out for the victory this weekend and see what Petit brings for us.
It's amazing. I mean, it's so close between all these different manufacturers. Fantastic racing, and you guys have been pretty much in control of the championship. But as you say, all you can do now is just go for it. Plan for qualifying.
Well, Tommy's going to be doing it. It's his turn this weekend, so we've been working on a bit of a setup for that. So we're just going back on some springs that we tried in the session. So yeah, he's pretty confident. But this, I think it's going to be a bit like every session this year so far, that it's a little bit difficult to predict exactly where you're going to end up. And I think that there'll be a surprise pole winner. I'm pretty sure of that. Maybe a new person this weekend. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. But yeah, the race pace and the race distance is going to be tough. It's going to be particularly hard, I think, on the tyres this weekend. So everybody's working on that right now. Yeah,
these number 4 guys certainly haven't given up yet.
Well, they keep scoring points, but so do their teammates. Google Earth. Let's look at Virginia International Raceway. Justin Bell, take us around.
Well, from the start, you have such a fast run down and a slight decline into the first corner. Very, very difficult. Very tight radius right-hander into a very difficult left. And then 2 of the tightest corners you'll find on any racetrack as you then start your progress all the way uphill. This section here is up through these S's, and it is just crazy fast. You don't want to take too much curb, but if you take none, you probably won't be going that fast. And then you have my favorite corner on the whole track, which is this fantastic left-hander. 4th gear probably in most cars, a little dab of the brakes, carry the speed through, then up the hill into the no oak tree turn, the Noak tree turn. And it's so important, discipline, hold on, roll on the power, little wheel spin as you can, and carry that speed all the way down. It's a very fast straight into a very complex little left-right-hand corner. And then at that point you go, if you're on a good lap, you know it, but you could throw it all away in one of the hardest right-handers last corners on any track in North America. This is a circuit that rewards discipline and accuracy. And if you're too flamboyant, you're probably not going to be the fastest.
Let's talk about GTC right now, because they are headed out to qualify. It's one of the challenge classes, John, meaning all the cars are identical.
All Porsches. 50 years of the Porsche 911. Could we have sports car racing without Porsches in it? Probably not. All on Yokohama tyres. And this class over the years has provided us with some of the best racing and qualifying. Well, expect some fireworks. Over 150 miles an hour. Well over 150 miles an hour here. These cars are quick in a straight line.
Well, we've seen them all day, Rick, run with GT cars down the back straightaway, a little bit narrower. They get great top speed.
Yeah, but they use the curbs constantly. They are constantly bouncing off. The secret is to use the curbs right. Bounce off them too hard, and we have seen these guys going all out. Dion Van Mulkey called it dune buggy driving. Literally all 4 tires bouncing off into the air and then coming back down. Do it wrong, and you're in big trouble.
Do it right, it's spectacular to watch. A lot of times the car 4 wheels in the air, but you're right, Rick, do it wrong, it's a problem. Now onto the long back straightaway, you ride on board the number 27.
This is interesting because when you're running on your own, it's so fast down here, at some point, you often like to have a little tap at the left foot, tap of the brakes, just to give reassurance. A lot of drivers do it, but look, we're going downhill now. You see the marker point, 3, 2, 1, bang! You hit it as hard as you can, run the left-hand curb, and just tight, hold it here, be precise, because this, you rocket out of here, it like launches you out. And here you run the left-hand curb as you position yourself for this cambered right-hander. The line changes throughout the whole race depending on your tire condition. You don't want to hit that left curb out there because it just upsets you, and you don't want to go in the pit lane at 120.
Well, there's a 100-foot elevation change from the end of the back straightaway until that last corner called Hogpin onto the front straightaway. So you're right, you are rocketing downhill some 100 feet. Time starting to come in. Andy Lally behind the wheel of the number 27. You see him drop one of those Yokohama tires off, and that dust, that sandy loam that you were talking about earlier, John Hindhaugh, gets on the racetrack, and Justin, I would think that makes the grip very, very diminished. He does it again right there out of turn 4.
Obviously, he's pushing He's going to go as fast as he can. But if you've got, I mean, you said it, Rick, perfectly. Pick your curb. Don't get sloppy on the curb. You see, that's terrible.
No.
He just blew that.
That was more than curb.
That was more than curb.
That started 2 corners back, that, Justin, didn't it? He got out of sequence with it.
Of course, the minute he turned into that left, it was sloppy. And that's the trouble as you come up the hill there. You've got to pick your curb.
And can I just mention, guys, that's Andy Lally. He's an experienced driver, and we've seen this all the way through the practice sessions. Big name, experienced drivers. Curb hopping like that is okay. You can keep it straight. You're going in a straight line, but people going off. Let's have a look at Lally again. Justin, what's he done wrong? Bob, way before that, I suppose.
What he actually tried to do was carry too much speed through the right, and actually you need a sort of safety lift, just a little breather, you'll see him here, he carries the speed through. He really wants to be fast. Now this is the key to the whole thing. Boom, he just turned in too early and held on to it and survived.
Well, here's the challenge, right? I mean, you're going out, it's going to take a couple of laps to get temperature and pressure in your tires, but those first couple of laps, maybe those first 3 or 4 laps, are going to be the fastest lap that you have. So you want to get out there, get the most out of your tires as quickly as you can, and perhaps Andy Lally pushing a little too hard, a little too soon.
Yeah, I also want to bring up something that I just experienced in the race I just did. And
that
those curbs, thank you. I shouldn't mention it, but now you have. Is that the sidewalls go through a tremendous bashing when you hit those curbs, and you have to. It actually really overheats them and damages them. So again, you're going to see that a factor during this race.
And that's why tyre pressures here is absolutely crucial. Sean Edwards just gone to 3rd position in that still championship contending car. And sorry, Brian, go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's a look at the top 5 for Damien Faulkner. Great qualifying run at Coda at the last round. Victory. He started from the pole. He won the race. And this race really for him is all about pride this weekend. He wants to go out on top.
Well, it's about pride and it's about next year. He hasn't got a signature on a contract yet. And he's probably one of the better, if not the best drivers in this category. He's a true pro and he would add to any team. But it's not going to be easy for any of these guys, Rick, for next year to tie themselves down a drive.
Well, and then he also becomes the spoiler. How does he affect the championship race? He's not in the championship, doesn't have enough points, but he could either take points away from somebody or get between 2 cars, and as a result, cause a problem. Now, take a look at the inlets here and the grass that they have picked up. Whether he's gone off course or not, he's somehow picked up some of that stuff, and we're going to see this as a problem all weekend long.
All weekend long. The grass had been very long, and they have mowed it, but what it's done is left a lot of long clippings, and whenever anybody gets off the racetrack, they get that radiator full. Some of the teams have gone to try to put some kind of a rounded screen on the front of the radiator so the grass will blow off. Not the case with this car, and Justin, these cars will get hot very quickly.
And I'd like to point out, even though we are, 3:45 in the afternoon, the ambient is very hot out there. And so, I mean, they're in the shade on the backside of the track there. But mark my words, the drivers that can hold on nice and tight are going to be quick around here.
It's catching Sean Edwards in the car, and Sean doesn't need to get in his way there, and kind of does. And Damien is not happy about that at all, and then immediately slows down to try and give himself some space for the next lap. But he was not happy there. Sean Edwards dawdling on the entrance to one of the more technical parts of the circuit.
He actually lost too much momentum, even though he backed out and tried to, give himself some space. That's pit straight starts for you right at the top of that downhill.
So that's 2 laps he's had ruined there.
It is. It's a sequence that's the catalyst for it, how you react at the top of the hill there.
Well, let's think about our championship right now. Jerome Bleekemolen and Cooper McNeil, they lead it. They're quickest right now in qualifying. We talked about it, Rick, great point. Damien Faulkner and his co-driver, Ben Keating, they're not in the championship. Second on the racetrack. Sean Edwards needs to move that car forward if he wants to try to help Enrique Cisneros win the championship. And for Spencer Pumpelly, he needs a little better qualifying position as well. He and Nelson Canache are second in the championship, but they need to start a little further forward.
Want to point out that, remember, out of the entire lineup in this multi-class racing, these are the most compliant cars out there. So we're watching this. You're seeing the front wheels, both wheels off the ground sometimes. These are the easiest over the bumps of them all. It doesn't get better as we go through qualifying for the other groups.
Well, I think that Damien Faulkner's annoyed, and he was overdriving that TRG car as we watch the 45 Flying Lizard with Spencer Pumpelly at the wheel coming through to the end of the lap. Has he improved? He's sitting down in 4th place at the minute with a 153 flat. And he comes across the line. Yes, he has. He has improved good enough to go to provisional pole by 0.048 of a second. That's job done for him. I don't think he's even going to try wring another lap out of those Yokohama tyres. And with 4:53 left, that is crucial because we've now gone over 10 minutes of green. Let's head down to the pit lane where Jamie Howe is waiting for a weather update. Jamie?
Well, guys, there have been a couple of things that you've mentioned in the last couple of minutes. One of them has been the track temperature, the other, those Yokohama tires, and then the final third thing is that all of these cars are exactly the same. But what's interesting is that not all of the teams have been able to get the same tire wear out of those Yokohamas in terms of which setup they're using on the car. The track temperature right now, though, take a look at this, 108 degrees, and that's with cloud cover out right now. So the temperature's gone down even just a little bit, but it's still pretty hot out here. So those Yokohamas are working hard, and remember, they have to start the race on those exact same tires tomorrow.
Jamie loves that little gun.
Yes, she does.
She does. She loves to point it at things, and it scares me, actually, quite frankly. Thank goodness she's way down in pit lane. But I think what's interesting, just as we were going down to Jamie on that weather report, did you see Spencer Pumpelly?
Way offline.
Why?
Well, I think he was getting out of the way,
Do you think
but he was also picking up some stuff.
What was he picking up, Justin?
Well, you know, he's looking for those little wooden key rings from the oak tree.
You can tell the racing driver among the quartet.
I'm not throwing a fellow warrior under the bus there, but yeah, that was a strange line to take. But
perhaps looking for a little bit of rubber out there, maybe just a little bit of weight. It's Damian Faulkner to the pole now. Spencer Pumpelly falls to second. Jeroen Bleekmolen now back in third. Sean Edwards in fourth, and then Kuba Giersmaziak.
And he's got Damien ahead of him. These two guys, really big friends, but they won't be if Damien gets in the way, and he does not.
Nope.
It did not affect Jeroen's time at all, but he lost the front end of that Porsche there as he was turning into the far end up by where the oak tree should have been, and that might have cost him, what, a couple of tenths at least?
I was just going to say it's a couple of tenths because you go in and you just push out there and really you just want to gather it all back in and be patient just to turn to the right. Otherwise you run off the end of that curb, and I tell you, you can do that all race, you're going to be in pain.
Damian Faulkner treated Jeroen Bleekmolen the way he wanted Sean Edwards to treat him just a couple of laps ago. He pulled out of the way, didn't impede his progress at all, and let's see if Bleekmolen can recover from that little misstep up at Oak Tree.
Comes down through the final set of corners. To me, he just took a little bit too much of that right-hand curve there, and he's run out very wide to the left-hand side as he comes across the start-finish line. The time continues to tick away at the top left-hand side of your screen, and he's done a 52.610. It's improved him, and he's within just on 4/10 of pole, and sitting at the moment on the outside of the front row. Too many mistakes there, though, Rick. Just, again, good drivers trying too hard, and Andy Lally now again finds himself off the circuit. Second time in the last hour or so that I've said Andy Lally off the track.
Managed to avoid contact, but now he's got to get himself out of the situation. Fortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to cause any kind of a red flag situation or a yellow flag situation.
Something not right here. You said it, John. You've said Andy Lally a couple of times. Problem breaking up into Oak Tree, and here's the deal. Lally back in 8th right now in qualifying, 1.3 seconds off the pace.
And don't forget, we saw Patrick Dempsey going off the track into 1. Let's have a listen. Now that's on down change. But that still didn't sound right to me. Justin?
I don't know. You know, if there is a bump there, and I think he just caught second gear just as he went over the bump. Yeah. That's all. But maybe he went off somewhere else and the tyres got rubbish on the back tyres. That was unfortunately a very un-Andy Lally mistake.
And it's not a happy car, that 27 car, because we've seen the car, the back end moving around too much. It's almost as if ride heights or pressures or spring rates or something at the back of that car is not working for it.
I mean, look at his time. He is 1.3 seconds off the pace.
That's
not a minor adjustment. No. He's having issues out there.
Andy Lally has never been 1.3 seconds off anything in a spec class. There's something not quite right with the 27 car. We saw Patrick Dempsey going off quite spectacularly into where the car is now, into the first corner, when the car just snapped viciously sideways to the left, and I'm not sure they've quite got the balance right, and then clearly the car is difficult to drive.
Well, and I think, too, that this racetrack lends itself to either you're in the setup window or you are well out. Only 20 seconds left in qualifying. And if you look at cars out Jan Halen in the number 11 from JDX back in 6th. He's over a second off the pace. You're not used to seeing that. No. So I think you're either on it or you're not, and some of these teams have just missed the window.
And the car is locking up tires, it's bouncing off curbs. I think either the tire pressures have gone absolutely to pot, and it's the checkered flag has just flown at the start-finish line, and he's pushing for all it's got, but I think he's actually working with a pig in knickers there.
A pig in knickers. Well, there you go. Damian Faulkner, the quickest right now. Bleekmolen, Pompelli, Edwards, and then Giermaziak. That is the top 5 here in GT Challenge. Andy Lally still pushing hard out of Oak Tree, but for naught.
He will get this lap. And being so far away, he doesn't have to improve very much to get himself. I mean, if he finds half a second, he's going to be knocking on the door of the top 4. Now, can he do that with a car that clearly doesn't want to go the way that he is pointing at the moment? Down in the technical section, let's see how he goes through here. And Rick, that car again there on the weight transfer just doesn't look happy.
Yeah, I mean, you can see he's been working this lap as hard as he can possibly work it, but he just hasn't been fast. It hasn't been working. He's so far off the pace. And the question is, at what point are you overdriving trying to make up for that?
Well, it happens instantly, Rick. I mean, it happens. You go from underdriving to overdriving in the blink of an eye. And this track is a forum for overdriving. It allows you to look really daft.
And Damian Faulkner's still out there trying for one more lap. He's not comfortable with almost 4 tenths of a second. That's off at the top of Oak Tree.
Again, people not making that first part. Is that 2 separate corners? Do you treat that as 2 separate corners, or is that one continuous sweep there as you go through 11 and 12?
It's actually rather aggravating because you have to brake on the way up into it, and then you almost feel like you could re-accelerate towards the turn in for Oak Tree.
Yeah.
So obviously prototypes can brake right at the last minute. GT cars, you have to kind of brake, let it roll in, and so the key is momentum, and momentum too much, you've got no dynamics in the car, it runs out of room.
But are you taking lock off in the middle of that and then back on again? Yeah.
Let's take a look at the top 5 in class for the 2nd race in a row. Damian Faulkner proving that he is a force to be reckoned with in GT Challenge. Jeroen Bleekemolen, he's looking for another championship. Then Spencer Pompelli, Sean Edwards, and Kuba Giermaziak. Good stuff. GT Challenge is in the books.
And 4 tenths of a second there, guys, that we talked about. Big margins. We typically don't see that in the GTC category. Spec car, spec tyre. It's normally by fractions of a tenth. And between those top 4, 7 tenths of a second and another 3 tenths back to Giermaziak in 5th position. That's telling you how difficult this track is to drive by the top guys.
I think 3 tenths of a second is kind of unheard of in this class. That is a huge margin that Damian Faulkner has been able to pull out over Jeroen Bleekemolen. Congratulations to Damian Faulkner. Let's go to Kelly.
And suddenly they've got all sorts of reasons to celebrate here at TRG after the pole and win at Circuit of the Americas. Damian, 2nd pole in a row. How much confidence did that round at COTA give you headed into VIR?
A lot of confidence. I mean, it's, I'm only human at the end of the day, and when you have a challenging season, it's challenging in every aspect, so it's got to be challenging the confidence as well. But we held firm. We've had an up and down day here so far today, so we had some last minute adjustments because we went the wrong way on something we thought was going to be better. And we had to take it back. The team had to do some last minute changes. So, but anyway, we got another one of these. So it's all worth it in the end. I mean, the lap was just on the rack stops. I just couldn't have done any better. So.
Well, speaking of up and down, I mean, just after you set that pole time, a little bit of an off-road excursion. What happened, and are any concerns that you've done something to the car?
No, don't listen to Kevin. He's always concerned for the car. No, just trying to brake. It's somewhere that I found a bit of time this weekend. Shouldn't be saying that, but braking into the hairpin is, without the Oak Tree, it's really given it a different perspective, and it's sort of opened it up a little bit, and it's very easy to lose a lot of time there. And it's a very, very slow place, but coincidentally, I went off there in the outlap, followed by Andy Lally. So anyway, no harm done, and we have a pole, and that's what matters. So thanks to TRG.
Congratulations.
Congratulations indeed. And he talked about confidence, and that's the intangible, and the driver needs that because really the driver's job, especially in GT, is that manufacturer's championship, Justin. You know it well.
It is. It's a pressure, but it's also the incentive and the motivation. And if you come off a good series of results, then for some reason you just start to be able to levitate a little higher than you were before.
How good are SRT looking as well, in fairness, in their first real full season in the championship against such well-known, well-developed cars as BMW and Chevrolet? And let's check in. They've still got an arithmetical chance of the championship. Jamie Howe is down in SRT land in the pit lane.
That's right, John. If an SRT Viper wins this race and a Corvette finishes, the highest running Corvette finishes 5th or worse, then SRT still keeps this manufacturer's chase open. But Jonathan, you're not thinking about championship points. All you guys are thinking about is a win. So what strategy do you enforce?
Yeah, the 93 car is, we're trying to get our first win. You know, and so we're just kind of full attack mode. Myself and Kuno. Kuno's going to go out and qualify now. We've had a really strong car all weekend. The 91's a little different. They're still in the hunt for the championship. We'll do whatever we can to help them along, and the manufacturer's championship is still very important for SRT.
In the first full season of competition for SRT Motorsports here in the American Le Mans Series, you guys have come on so strong. We saw that performance at COTA. What's been the biggest factor in that growth?
Yeah, you know, the team is just absolutely impressive. They work so hard. We're really gelling. You know, the cars are rolling off the trailers very strong, and we're just fine-tuning from there. Both cars work really well together, and we're able to maximize what we learn from session to session, and that's huge in this series.
Well, it's not only SRT, Corvette, and BMW that are in the manufacturer's chase. Porsche also still has a chance, Jeremy.
Yeah, they are, but they are also looking towards next year. For Colin Brown here, Colin, we've got the PC car right behind you. You're used to be climbing into that, getting ready for PC qualifying, but now you're in a GT car. Tell us about the transition.
Well, it's certainly a lot different to drive, you know, but the good thing for me, Car Autosport was able to do 4 or 5 races before I swapped over to the GT car. My engineer, Gary Davies, had a good understanding of, you know, what he was doing. Obviously, having a factory guy like Pat Long in the car, you know, helps make that transition a lot easier. And you know, I had a lot of experience driving different kinds of cars, NASCAR stuff, prototype cars, so kind of drew on all the experience I had to try and be quick in this car.
Your first ever professional race was in a Porsche at Daytona in 24 hours when you were 16 years old. How different, though, is this car?
It's definitely different driving a 997 RSR spec. But, you know, it was neat making my kind of professional debut in a Porsche and being able to come back and, you know, drive the Porsche this year. Obviously, such an iconic brand, such a well-driving car, such a well-refined car that it's a lot of fun to drive. Really enjoying it.
Yeah, this young man has plenty of experience and he's using every bit of it in the switch to the GT Porsche.
Oh, he's been very quick here this weekend. He was very quick in COTA, and they had some brake problems in the race and kind of dropped back a little bit, but he's really shown what he is worth, and Core Autosport has shown the team that they can build, and I think that's important for John Bennett. Is right now Patrick Long behind the wheel of the 06.
Yeah, and you can't underestimate just how much Patrick has brought to this team, not only in driving talent, but also in putting together the deal to give them a works Porsche deal for next year. What are GT cars then? Well, they start off as the cars that Justin has all of these. Brian, Rick and myself would like to drive, and then they are tuned within an inch of their life. They are the fire-breathing big brothers of the GTC cars that we saw earlier on. You have to have a certain amount of cars to make them legal, so you can't just go and build a one-off. Then it would be a prototype and not a GT car. And here, probably 160, 170 miles an hour, so plenty quick as well.
Oh, plenty quick indeed, right here at the end of the back straightaway. And I know Rick was down there in the GT land trying to get a ride in one earlier, I think.
I was thumbing my ride. No one was picking me up.
I'd have given you a ride. You could have held the Chianti on the right-hand side of that.
All right, tires coming up to temperature right now in the GT cars, and there'll be a lap or two, I think, before they're at ideal. Remember, tires a little bit open in GT, so it's a different tire, and it's going to take a little while to get the performance out of it.
Interesting. It must be something to do with the surface here and the ambient. But generally, you find the tires come up very fast here, which, of course, let's look forward 50 minutes time travel a bit when you're in a race. That's why the tires go off.
Yeah.
Because if they come up fast, there's high grip, high wear, high temperatures, sidewalls get a bashing on these curbs. So by the end of the stint, which is obviously talking about tomorrow, it's going to be tough. But in qualifying, you can get on it. By the time you come around that first lap, you're starting to think, this is the first or second of my fast laps.
Yeah, and temperatures in these tires usually take, for the GTs, take about a lap. They're bouncing off the curbs, as you said, and so it's not like the prototypes where you've got to get the downforce, you've got to build them up for 3, 4, 5 laps. With these cars, first lap they should be in, second lap you should be running fast.
I wonder if that's maybe just one of the issues that the guys have got. No series puts you closer to the cars and the stars than the ALMS, of course. We've known that for 15 years. Lex over in Raleigh. I hope you're going to be here this weekend, unless you're tweeting from the track, which of course you can. Use the hashtag VIR and get straight in touch with us here.
Oh, and already, guys, using every bit of racetrack and just a little bit more. The other thing about tires in GT, you can choose the compound that you want to run on. Now, in qualifying, you want a softer compound that's going to give you the lap time, but you got to start the race on those tires, Justin, and then perhaps some of these teams running a harder compound in the heat of the day in that middle stint.
I think that is probably spot on what's happening here, because your optimum tire compound for the for the hot rod Rockstar lap is probably not going to be that much fun lap 15 tomorrow in the temperature. So I think qualifying is very important in sports cars. It also, as my dad would remind me, counts for nothing. Because
he's told you that many times.
You know,
gotta let that go, Justin.
Yeah, I've got to let go. Got to let it go.
Let's talk about this car right here, the number 48 car. They actually changed the motor in that car today. In between the first practice, at the end of the first practice ended at 11:25. Oh, look at them locking up there. And between 11:25 at 1:25, they had the new motor fired and ready to go. 2 hours from the time of the end of the session to the time they got the new motor in this and they were ready to go. That's an impressive work by a team.
Impressive indeed. We've talked about BMWs, we've talked about Corvettes, we've talked about Porsches, and we've talked about SRT. But one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now is the GT Ferrari from Risi Competizione. There he is right now, Matteo Malicelli behind the wheel. This car with a restrictor brake, a little bit larger restrictor back the last round at Circuit of the Americas, and this prancing horse has come alive, and the speed down the straightaways has been impressive. The other thing, this Ferrari known for taking care of its tires, very well balanced car.
Yeah, back to that whole thing, sorry, about if you're able to drive, he's very fastest there. I mean, if you're precise around VIR, and I believe the dynamics of the Ferrari allow you to be very precise with where you put the car. And looking at it right now.
It's interesting, we had a test day yesterday, and the car didn't seem to be that strong. And in fact, at one point, they actually had a problem. They had to pull off, and part of the wiring harness had physically come loose. He had to get out, open the passenger side door, if you want to call it that, plug it back in, and get back out. And so once again, the car was okay yesterday, but nothing great. And yet today, they have just been cranking in the first practice, the second practice, and now.
I'll tell you what it looks like to me, though. It's interesting to look at the different mindsets of the cars. The Ferrari, very stiff chassis-wise. You see it, not a lot of roll in the car. Perhaps the Corvettes, the SRTs, a little bit more roll in that car, but the Ferrari, very stiff. Now you ride on board our championship leaders, the number 3 Corvette, driven by Jan Magnussen.
Yeah, Jan needs to keep the pressure on here this weekend. It's amazing to me, while we were watching being interviewed in the pit lane at the start of this, his son, Kevin, is on the doorstep of a Formula One drive, and he at the moment is trying to find a little bit of a gap on the circuit, or indeed let his teammate through. And to think that little Kevin is about to be in Formula One, that's remarkable.
And look who's BMW jumped to the top.
Yeah.
Maxime Martin, the 55 car. And now, at this point, we have 2 BMWs in the top 3. And look at them together on the track.
Now, this is what's interesting. They talk about lack of straight line, and certainly come race time, that hurts. The one thing that car does have is great downforce, and that makes it really good through the twisty bits here. But come race time, if somebody runs away from you down the straightaway, it makes it incredibly difficult.
But Justin, if you've got no power down the straight and you've got a lot of grip because of the aero, are these guys helping each other out here? Maybe doing a little bit of toe, no front row kind of thing?
It certainly wouldn't harm them, because you can only do that with a teammate, because the cooperation at the end of this straight is too tough.
I was talking to Maxime Martins in that number 55 BMW, his co-driver, Bill Auberlin, who has tons of experience, probably more experience here at VIR in a BMW than anybody else in the world. Maxime, however, though, it's his first weekend here. And because of that, Bill sacrificed that last practice session and the qualifying session today just so that Maxime can get some more track time. So Bill hasn't even been in the car since this morning, but clearly that's paid off. It's the first weekend that they've done this, and it's paid off so far because Maxime is now turning competitive laps, and that's what they need at the start of the race tomorrow. So smart strategy.
Competitive laps indeed. He's at the top of the charts right now in GT, and really all season long, every racetrack has been new to Maxime Martin. He had not raced here in the United States, so every racetrack brand new, and now Magnussen beginning to get up to speed. You talk about the lack of straight line speed. Racing is one thing, qualifying is another. Perhaps the BMW a little better in qualifying than in race trim. But Magnussen, Corvettes have been fast, both in qualifying and in the race. And I think the one thing that 3 has done this year, Justin, is they have been smart, they've been consistent, but they have taken a lot of points over these last 3 races. 60 points available, they took 56 of them.
The car rides those bumps very well. Rick, you can see as he goes through it, doesn't actually, he could run the bumps through the S's, and it wasn't like it was bouncing up off the ground like it did in the GTC. That car's well set up around here.
And just there, we saw him just dip that wheel off, just touch the dirt just a little bit, get that little pop of dust into the air. It's going to slow him down just a little bit, but the question is, if you're using as much track as you possibly can, how much speed can you carry? And this is a problem right here.
This is the championship.
Tom
championship contender. I locked big in the wall in my last fast lap and just locked the right front there big. Couldn't get it back.
Look at the damage on the left-hand side.
That's no problem, man. That's no problem. Just as you were going in there, we got a report of oil and water, and we obviously couldn't get you in time. So I don't think that was your fault.
Well, that's what you want to hear from your crew.
Yeah, I was going to say, grab onto that now. Grab onto that now. Cling to it.
But one of the things that Corvette Racing does is they have a wall of monitors down there, and they spot for their drivers all the way around the racetrack. And you heard the crew say, we had just gotten a report, we just didn't get it to you quick enough, that there might be some fluid down.
Look to the left-hand side.
Oh, it was a big hit.
Oh, right-hand side, rather, and that was a big hit. And that, again, that's an odd one, isn't it? Because he's got 3/4 of the wheels round the corner. Now, is this where the fluid came from? Viper 90. Oh, look at that. On the screen of the 93. Yeah. And that, you do not want to see that as a driver, and that's a pretty good job by the Viper. Who is it who's gone off? And the Viper spins. We might get a shot of the orange car. Look to the left-hand side here, guys. There's a red flag out on the circuit now because of that, but we have got the time in.
Was the fluid out of the Viper or the car in front?
No, I think it was
from the Viper.
I think it was from the car in front.
It was, and the question is, was the car in front this car?
Oh.
No, I don't think so, because the other car was well down the racetrack that went off.
Oh.
So
there was somebody right in front.
So that wasn't what the spin we saw in front of this was not the number 4 car. It was the number 62 car, as we understand that actually did the spin and was causing that liquid to be on the Viper's windshield.
So the red flag is out, so they'll stop this session.
I think we'd had the 10 minutes, guys.
We
got through the 10 minutes. Here's the, look at Malicelli. He goes off the circuit there, and now as he turns in here, watch around for any kind of signs of the fluid. Did I see a little trail there? He's running wide. Now, there it is. Out of the right rear of the car. He's already going out there. He's probably getting that just on his own rear wheels, and then the Viper follows that. And look at the line of fluid. That's the worst thing you can see as a driver.
And you see the 93 spin, and you can see that line of fluid right there in the middle of the screen. And I wonder if when Malicelli dropped the wheel off, what happened was it pulled an oil line or a water line, and that's what we saw go wrong as he exited Oak Tree.
That was just an awful sequence for everyone involved. Dust cloud, fluid.
High speed.
The one thing you don't expect when you go through a dust cloud is to see fluid come out the other side.
Yes.
So obviously Malicelli was starting to have fluid on his rear tires, I think, from that point.
Impressive performance by BMW, though. The time should be, the session should be official because we had more than 10 minutes in. And if it were to end this way, which I would believe it would, Maxime Martin is up front, then Matteo Malicelli, then Dirk Mueller. Marco Holzer, so a good run for Paul Miller Motorsports, and then Kuno Whitmer in the 5th place position. But for Maxime Martin, who had not been here before, pretty impressive stuff. And impressive for Bill Auberland to hand the keys to the car over to Maxime and said, learn the racetrack.
By just 0.028 of a second. The man who knows the Nordschleife at the Nürburgring very well. I'm sure we'll see some kind of similarity between the kind of driving he has to do on that monster track to the challenges here at VIR.
Well, it is also Maxime Martin's first visit here. Maxime, it's also your very first American Le Mans Series pole position. Not knowing a circuit when you come into it, how are you able to claim a pole position? What did you find around here?
I don't know. It's clear it was really difficult, but with Bill Oberlin, he has so much experience here. He learned me a lot, so it's easier for me to come up to speed. And yeah, I'm really happy to make pole, first pole in ALMS. And yeah, on the track I don't know, like every track this season, but it's great. It's great for the whole team. We worked quite hard on the cars. It's third pole in a row now for the car with 3 different drivers, so it means the team is really good and the car also.
It's definitely an impressive feat for BMW Team RLL. But for you, for the race tomorrow, not knowing the circuit, not knowing it in race conditions, what are you expecting?
I already know it will be difficult. We are a really good car on one lap, but regarding the engine, it's quite difficult against the others. So in the race, it will be difficult, but we are here to fight until the end. And yeah, with Bill, he's taking the start, and I'm sure we're gonna be good at the end of the race for sure.
Congratulations on the first pole.
Thank you.
It was a great run for BMW and especially for Maxime Martin. And the crew will go to work to get things cleaned up. The American Le Mans Series action continues tomorrow at 2 p.m. on ESPN3 and ALMS.com, and then on Sunday on ESPN2 at 5:30. And there's more qualifying coming up. The Oak Tree Grand Prix from Virginia International Raceway will be back to more American Le Mans Series right after this.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
You did it? You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Power is hypnotic. We're mesmerized by it. Spellbound by it. In its raw form, it is just unharnessed energy, but in the hands of those who understand it, revere it, and know how to bridle it, it can become one of the strongest gravitational forces in the whole universe. So why are we drawn to power? Because we can't stop it.
American Le Mans Series action, the Oak Tree Grand Prix from VIR. It's qualifying, it's live, and it continues right now. And we've gotten the GT categories in the books, but now Prototype Challenge will be up next, and that's another championship that has been up and down all year long. Michael Gouache holding down the point right now, John.
Not bad for a guy who only wanted to dip his toe into the series and thought, well, I might do a few races, and he's done so well. He's had to do the full season, and now he's in the chance of a championship. Jeremy Shaw is down on the pit lane.
Indeed, with Michael Gouache. And Michael, what a change 2 weeks make. 2 weeks ago, you were chasing in the championship. Now you're being chased.
That's right. Last race, we had some good luck. Actually, our competitor had some very bad luck, and we did very well. So we went from chasing in the points to being chased, as you said. We're now 20 points ahead. We think if we could do well this weekend, I mean, there is a possibility if we do well enough, we could clinch a title this weekend. That's our hope.
Does that put more pressure on you?
Oh, yeah, there's always pressure on us. But you know, we just got to keep our heads down and just do what we do. There's no way to, you can't let the pressure get you.
And you got your secret weapon back with you again this weekend.
Yeah, that's all right. I've got Dane Cameron with me, and he's been my good luck charm. He's been doing fantastic. So we brought him back to see if we could just close this thing up.
It's a great battle. I mean, you were in the lead early on in the points, and now you lost it. Now you're back again. I mean, what a to and fro battle it's been all season long, Mike.
Well, it's been a struggle because I've gone through 4 different drivers. So you know, we got good drivers and we had less good drivers, and it's just back and forth. And we've had good luck and bad luck, but it's been a struggle all year. We're just hoping we can finish it off here shortly.
Michael Gouache, he's not a pro driver, but boy, he takes this really seriously.
Well, he does take it very seriously. He's got 2 Sebring 12-hour victories in class to his credit, so a very talented driver. The crew going to work cleaning up the oil, and because of that oil and because of the red flag,
that means, I'm afraid, that Giuseppe Risi is going to lose their best lap. If you cause a red flag, you can't benefit by it. And whilst, of course, Matteo Malicelli wasn't going to improve his time, the session was stopped short. It doesn't matter whether you go off the track or you lay oil down. You've caused the red flag. Therefore, your best lap time is taken away. So that means, I'm afraid, that 1:46.113 is going to disappear. And that might well put the BMWs first and second. Let's head down to Kelly Stavist, who has Tristan Nunez.
Tristan Nunez, youngest winner ever in American Le Mans Series history, which will stand as we've got just 2 races to go. And Tristan, it's been such an outstanding season for you. What are you looking to get out of these last couple of races?
Well, hopefully we can get another finish like Baltimore. That would be ideal. I mean, this team is a new team. I'm a new driver here. Baltimore was just an awesome race. Just got to get more results like that, and that's what we're pushing for.
3rd in the championship, still an outside shot. Is that something that you're definitely keyed in on? And talk to me about picking up Ryan Booth again as a co-driver.
Yeah, that was that was very unexpected coming into the season. But yeah, now that we're here, we're just going full force till the end of the season, and having Ryan in the car again is awesome. I mean, he's a really fast, up-and-coming driver just like myself, and I think we got a really, really good shot at a win here.
I know you were on a lot of people's radar coming into the season, but after the success you had, I mean, what's been the response and attention that you've drawn?
I mean, that is a little bit of pressure, but that's a pressure we like to have. You know, just got to intimidate the other teams like we've been doing. Not changing a thing. Obviously what we're doing is working, so just got to keep pushing hard and keep that teamwork up.
All right, thank you, Tristan. Good luck in qualifying. He's tied 3rd in the points along with this guy, John Bennett, who's standing by with Jamie.
Yes, John Bennett leads the Core Autosport team, and they've won the last 2 team championships. But John, you yourself have never really been in the driver's fight. You are now, but you had that penalty at COTA. You guys lost all of your points. What happened after the race?
Just, you know, there's a few things that are important on the car, and there's a little bit of a misunderstanding between our team and tech inspection, and you know, unfortunately it didn't go our way, and we learned a few things, and I think we're good for the rest of the season, but a little bit of a gray area, so that's racing, you know, at the end of the day.
You guys lost those points, as I mentioned, but also there's some personnel changes within the team. You lost your crew chief and you lost your engineer. How has that affected the weekend here today?
It's you know, it's tough. It's I have 2 roles. I have a role of a driver and also a role of a team owner, and it's hard when situations don't work out with employees, and it's the toughest thing that we do. But so far this weekend it's been quite smooth, and I'm really looking forward to this weekend, finishing this weekend strong, and then a strong finish at Petite. But yeah, it's not fun.
20 points out of that Drivers' Championship. How much pressure are you feeling to get not only a win, but to just keep building these points for the last 2 races?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, it's a little cliche, but I don't really consider the points too much. Even during the season, it's just coming and executing, and then, you know, when we get to the middle of the race at Petite, maybe we'll do a little math. But at this point, just looking forward to enjoying a track that I really enjoy, and just driving just as well as I can. So we'll see how it falls.
All right, and you guys see that helmet in the car. That is Tom Kimber-Smith. He's back with the team here this weekend in the PC car, and he does have qualifying duties.
Thanks, Jamie.
And he's very quick. Very, very quick indeed is Tom Kimber-Smith. There's the P2 points, and here's the situation we've been talking about for a while. Marino Franchitti is 4 points ahead of Guy Cosmo there in the 552 car. Scott Tucker, who is the man who pays their wages and their team leader, is 12 back from the lead, but only 2 ahead of Scott Sharp. So the challenge for level 5 is to engineer Scott Tucker ahead of his 2 employees to take his 10th national championship at the end of the season without Scott Sharp getting ahead of them. Okay, did you write all that down? I'm asking questions later.
And you talk to the folks at Extreme Speed Motorsports with Scott Sharp, and they make it very clear all they care about is Scott Tucker, because they know that team's going to be engineering it so that Tucker can win the championship. They don't worry about Franchitti. They don't worry about Cosmo. They are targeting and looking completely at Scott Tucker. He's the guy on their radar.
Well, we talk about Scott Tucker. He has one very fast co-driver, and he is with Jeremy.
Indeed, Ryan Briscoe, he will qualify the cars this afternoon, and all sorts of championship machinations going on here, Ryan, because of course the goal is to make sure Scott Tucker, the team owner, wins this championship. Yeah, I mean, you know, today's just all about trying to go fast, so we're going to try to get both level 5 cars on the front row. It's been good so far, but certainly a bit of strategy might come into play tomorrow, but #1 goal is to try to win, and then we'll see how it goes from there. How difficult is it for you, a professional driver? It's all been about you in the past, and open wheel racing, it's just you in the car. Now, though, you're in a team environment, and you're aiming to win the championship for somebody else. Is that different? Does that change your mindset? Well, I mean, you know, in this sort of racing, there's always compromise. You know, you're always sharing a car with somebody, and it's always been a bit of a part of, you know, American Le Mans Series racing. But you know, I'm in Scott's car, so we're going to go out, and that lets me go fast and do my best, and hopefully, yeah, I can bring the car home tomorrow afternoon and get the win. Yeah, that's certainly the plan for level 5 always, is to get the win first of all. He's got the easy job, because all he's got to do is drive flat out. There's no politics there at all.
And they're still working on cleaning up the racetrack, but Ryan Briscoe, not only incredibly quick in the car, but very intelligent, the king of understatement. There may be some strategy tomorrow. Think? I think there's a third driver in the 552 car this weekend that could be a part of some of that strategy, John. Yeah, Stefan Johansson brought back to the American Le Mans Series for the first time in a wee while. He's done the yeoman's work in the early sessions here, getting him up to speed. And if he does his time and keeps that car in the race trim rather, and he does his full stint, then both of the other two cars other two drivers can't get their time in the car. What are you seeing, Justin?
You know, that is just a mess. And when we're
talking about the track right here.
Yeah. I mean, no, we're actually same phrase for both. But when you're in an open top car, remember there's just your visor between you and the elements, and all that little sand there, that cement that goes down. I mean, this track has already got enough rubbish brought onto it by the other two qualifying sessions we've seen, and this is not pretty, this is not fun, it's not going to be good for visibility.
But it's not. We're not starting the session any time soon. They've got time to get this swept off. You can't leave the oil dry down though either, can you?
No, and unless you put racing numbers on that John Deere.
Right, okay.
He could have the pole at this point.
Well, he might do.
We get the chance to talk to more drivers, which is always good news to hear the word from the pit lane, and Kelly Stavist is with a very quick one, Kyle Marcelli.
Quick indeed, coming off their first win of the season at Circuit of the Americas. Kyle, we did see you guys have a couple of off-road excursions in that final practice, so what kind of car do you have underneath you for this qualifying?
I mean, we'll wait and see. You know, last practice we had an off in the oak tree ourselves, and you know, but to back up a little bit, yesterday we had a wonderful car. We were really comfortable, really confident this morning, and kind of all day today we've been chasing, you know, a car that's a little bit with a lot of lack of grip, I guess you could say, in the rear of the car. So we've really been fighting that. We made some big changes, and we're going to Hail Mary it for qualifying.
Well, it seems like this is a car that's had some moments of brilliance, and you guys have had your issues throughout the season. So to get that win, to put a whole race together, how much confidence does that breed for VIR?
Oh, absolutely. It brings a lot of confidence to the team. These guys have worked hard all season long. You know, as Chris and I, we've shown, you know, our speed here and there. We've just, you know, it's a team effort. You got to have all the pieces of the puzzle put together, and you know, at COTA we did, and you know, our goal is to do that again this weekend.
All right, Kyle Marcelli getting ready to qualify as PC, and at P2, Jamie's with Scott Sharp.
When we talk about the P2 championship, Scott Sharp, the only non-level 5 driver that is still in this thing. So, but Scott, you guys have had issues with your car here this weekend. What's going on in the shifting?
We've just had some issues with the gearbox. Unfortunately, Anthony went on his out lap yesterday, went to upshifted, and instead it downshifted and majorly overhead the motors. That took care of yesterday's whole session. We missed the entire time, and then the first session this morning still had lingering problems, and we didn't get it sorted out till right at the end. So we're trying to catch up a little bit, but I think the guys done a great job, and the O2 car's been running well, so we're sapping off of them a little bit, but everything seems mechanically to be fine now. So we just catch up and get ourselves as ready as we can for the race.
When you're in the situation where you're chasing for the championship, what do you do with the strategy to get those points?
Not worry about it. You know, just run as hard as we can run our own race. Obviously, we're here to try to win races. You know, if we could win the last couple races, then you got to just let the points fall where they fall.
I've heard some rumors that we could see some big-time drivers come out at Petit Le Mans with your team. I know David Brabham will be in the 01 again. Who's going to be in the 02?
We're still sorting that out, but we're excited for the guys that are going to join us. Good guys, and you know, we got the last 10 hours at Petit. We certainly would like to finish the year off winning that race too.
All right, well, there's still lots of racing left. Scott Sharp will be qualifying the number 01 today. Jeremy?
Yeah, and Marino Franchitti is down here, and he's had a stellar season, leading the points, Marino Franchitti. But how is it for you, a professional driver? You're always trying to chase a championship for yourself, but that's not the goal with the team here, is it, this year?
No, it's easy when you know what the rules are going in, and when I joined the team, David and Scott made it very clear that the whole reason we're here is to get Scott the championship. So for me, it's easy enough. That's always been the goal, and that's what we've been aiming for. And yeah, obviously the ideal thing for me would be to be second in the championship, and hopefully we can make that happen at Petit. But we'd like to go into Petit with Scott back and lead the championship, and that's the goal here.
Yeah, and you've known that season, you know, all season long, and you know, for some of us maybe it's sort of a different perspective as the season draws to a close, but not for you, huh?
Not really. You know, as I say, I've known the whole time, and the reason I'm here and the reason the whole team's here is for that reason. So I'd rather be here racing with level 5 and be in this situation than sitting on the sofa at home. You know, David and Scott will give me a great opportunity, and you know, last year the LMS, it would be great to win it, but I knew you always have goals at the start of the year, and level 5's goal was again to get Scott the championship and to get the team's championship, and that's what we're aiming for.
But how galling is that? I mean, here you are, you're in the lead of the points, you've got a good lead in the points, and 2 races to go, and you know, you think it's going to slip away for yourself, though.
Actually, you know, it's the first time in my career where I'm kind of looking at getting the lead in the points and going, now that's annoying because I won't be in the points car for a race or something. So again, it's what I've known is going to happen and what our whole season is set around. So maybe for other people it's a bit shocking, but I've had a long time to be at peace with it.
And the paycheck's better?
Absolutely.
Moreno Franchitti being refreshingly honest, and I predict he will not score points this weekend. I don't think that will be an issue for the car. I think the car will score points, but I don't think somehow Moreno will get his 1 hour in the car to score him points, and I'd possibly not Guy Cosmo either.
So strategy could come into play for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Is that what Ryan Briscoe said?
Yeah. Yeah.
and the thing you always have to remember, it's one thing to lay the strategy out on paper. It's another thing to make it happen. You can throw all the dice down. You can say you're going to do a certain thing, and then suddenly you have a wild card. A car goes off. There's a problem, and suddenly it all goes to hell in a handbasket.
Well, what about if there was a red, full course yellow, a big instant, and Marino can't get out of the car? The pit lane wouldn't open.
Yeah.
And
then he got his time.
And then he gets his time. And those things. Do you know what? The minute you try and get too tricky and clever, it normally does a full lap and comes back and joins you.
The other thing is, though, I guarantee you that if by something the Scott Tucker car isn't going to score points, they'd rather have the 552 car take the championship and a level 5 car than an ESM car take the championship and an ESM driver. So, you know, all bets are off at that point. You're right, it's fluid. Welcome back to the championship for Johnny Molan. This time last year, I think that he was last in the Dyson. Jamie Howe was with him.
You're absolutely right, John. It was this race 1 year ago where we last saw Johnny Molan, but Johnny, last year this car was running on Dunlops. It was trying a hybrid power system. What's different for you as the driver?
Well, obviously we're on Michelin this year, and the car is absolutely hooked up from the moment we got here. Myself and Guy Smith are driving just the 2 of us, so we're missing Chris Dyson, obviously, but he's got business commitments, so he asked me a while ago to come and sub for him here with Guy, and for both of us this is a special moment because I've done a race, at least one race or more in every year of the ALMS series, and this is probably the last chance, well, it is the last chance that Guy and myself will have to win an LMP1 race in the American Le Mans series, so we're going to be pushing as hard as we can, and I know Guy, who's going to qualify, will be doing a fantastic job.
I'd say Chris has some pretty big business commitments considering that his wife Joy is due with their 3rd child on Saturday. He better be there. But Johnny, talk about the race, the traffic here. You said you're pushing for a win. I know you guys are going to be aggressive. What do you have to do to get through the traffic?
Well, we've got nothing to lose, so we're going to be absolutely super aggressive, whilst at the same time having full respect for, I mean, I know from, I've been a GT driver, in fact I did the European Le Mans series this year in a GT Ferrari, so I know what it's like and how hard it is for the GT guys here, but the prototype car here is a joy to drive. I mean, if we can go in car with us during the race, just watch us through the hurry-ups. I mean, we're pulling nearly 4G up there, so we're just going to be aggressive, but without being stupid, and just hope that we can keep the Muscle Milk car honest and have a bit of luck, and let's see if we can win it.
All right, I'm excited to watch it with you guys here. I know Guy Smith is going to do qualifying duty, so thank you, Johnny.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back indeed to Johnny Mullen. Prototype Challenge cars out on the racetrack right now. The other of the challenge classes, which means all the cars are identical. They run on Continental tires, the same 6.2-liter V8 Chevy power plant in the back. These cars are incredibly quick, incredibly nimble, and a joy to drive, and I want to drive one.
Yeah, me too. This is the one time I would say I don't mind not having a roof over my head and not driving a production-based car. This to me looks a lot of fun.
Now Johnny Mullen was saying that the car was hooked up, the Dyson car. Yesterday we watched on board, kind of looked like he was playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots in the cockpit, wrestling with the steering wheel. So they've got a little better car underneath them today. The guy looking to put his car on pole right now in Prototype Challenge is Dane Cameron in the 52. Remember, he's got Michael Gouache's championship that he's trying to bring home to Gouache. And Cameron, one of those spectacular young drivers, one of the drivers of the future. And we see several of them this weekend. Tristan Nunez, Ryan Booth, Kyle Marcelli. If you take Nunez and Booth and add them up together, I think their age is 33, which is
almost you.
Almost me.
Yeah. It's a
37, I'm sorry.
It's a new era of sports car races. Same in Europe, I've got to say, guys. World Championship and also the ELMS. It's guys who are coming out of Formula Racing, Formula 3, GP2, Formula Renault, lights and stuff here. The same thing. That's the guys who drive prototypes quickly. Brian.
Now, one of the things we got to talk about in Prototype Challenge, no traction control, and they've got a racetrack that was just oiled down and has oil dry all over it. In fact, you saw Dane Cameron with a little bit of a problem coming out of Oak Tree, getting the power down.
And obviously it's going to get better. Every car out there will start to make it better for the next guy. But instead of him saying maybe my big lap was going to be lap 2, it might be lap 3 or 4.
Well, I think what you find with these Continental Tire Prototype Challenge cars, Rick, though, is it takes this tire a little longer to come up to temperature. We've seen that all year long.
Exactly. Compared to the GT cars, which we've just seen, where they come up in that first or second lap, with these cars, because of the downforce and the way they built the heat into the tire, it will take 3 or 4 laps to get them up, which may work out well because they're basically going to be cleaning that track in the interim. So when the tires finally are coming in and they're finally up to their full speed, at that point, the track will be better and the tires will be in the right place.
Tristan Nunez now on to the front straightaway. So times will start to come in, but Justin Bell, as you're sitting there in pit lane and you know the track was just oiled down and you get to be the first ones on it, what's going through your mind?
That you wish it was another session before you. It's never fun, right? There's nothing good about it. You just have to have confidence. And also, I was just saying to John that if there ever was a section of the track you wanted oil to go down, nowhere it should be down. That's the slowest part of the track almost. Obviously, it absolutely messes with you onto the full back straight there, but going in a straight line over concrete dry, it doesn't do anything for you.
As we're watching the cars being banged over the curbs again, I'm still not sure this is the right way to do it. So do you modify your line, Justin, or do you drive over the oil dry and try and clear it? What do you do in these early laps?
Well, if you notice, it does come off the track out and then pull to the right. I would be running down the left-hand side of the straight like you're seeing them do. Yeah. So did he go all the way to the next corner, or did he pull off?
Oh, yeah. I think he went all the way to pit lane. Now he starts to pick it up as he comes into Oak Tree, right on line through the apex, right on line to the track out. Yeah. Nunez a little bit loose, but then tries to stay out of it down that long back straightaway.
It's interesting when you watch the prototype cars. They don't use the curbing as much, except coming out of Oak Tree, all the way over, sliding as far as they possibly can, and then whipping back.
But you can't take the proper line till the very last moment coming into 14 here.
Absolutely not a problem. That's what I meant. The fact, thankfully, he pulled on the access road just at the crest of the hill there. That's before you hit the brakes. Now, look at Tristan working this. He's got to be so precise. Runs the left-hand curb. You feed the power on right now. You're getting to full throttle as you wind it out. And really, you use the, he's got tons of room there on the exit. The kid's good. The car's good. But that is so important, this run down the front straight.
This is one of the toughest braking spots for me down into turn number 1, because the track actually comes in from the left-hand side and sort of takes your perspective, changes your perspective just a little bit. Watching the 8 car qualifying at the moment, and again has come through the difficult part, Brian, and is no quarter asked or given here.
Oh, Kyle Marcelli, fast hands up at the right-hander at the top of the back straightaway. He'll come to the line. It's Dane Cameron who holds down the point right now in Prototype Challenge, followed by Tristan Nunez, but the timing line just at the end of pit out, and wait for it to cycle through. Marcelli now in third.
44.158.
He's 1.1 seconds off of the pole time that Dane Cameron has laid down in Prototype Challenge, followed by Tristan Nunez, Kyle Marcelli, Tom Kimber-Smith now up to third. So he's moving forward for Coher Autosport. That's important for John Bennett in this championship hunt.
I have to say Cameron laid down a hammer there. Oh my God.
9/10 of a second clear of second place right now. There's a look at Tristan Nunez in the 18.
And you really have to give Dane Cameron credit. When we were just talking about being that first car out, not knowing the condition of the track, and it shows how, we called him that young gun, it shows how good he is, not knowing the track condition, having that concern, and still laying it down right off the bat. And he knows what's at stake this weekend. He personally is not in a championship hunt, but he knows he was brought in to not just win a race, but to seal the deal and get Gouache the championship this weekend. They don't want to go to Sebring with a possibility.
Or even Petit Le Mans.
Yeah. But it's one of those deals where he's the hired gun.
Yeah.
He is the hired gun. You're exactly right, Rick. And the other thing that's important is he has really opened a lot of eyes on pit lane, not just with prototype teams, but with GT teams looking at him very strongly.
And remember, he was not the original name on this entry for this race.
Yeah, and refreshing, I think, to see him holding out for a better deal. Even a young man, he realizes he's got something to sell, and I don't have a problem with that.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
And there is Tristan Nunez, who's trying to cut in to the lead of Dane Cameron. Cameron quicker every lap that he has completed here in qualifying.
7/10 of a second between first and second, 52 from 18. Tristan Nunez, the red, white, and black car climbing the hill now. And
so Marcelli's gone to second.
Yeah. Marcelli to second, and Tom Kimber-Smith goes through into second in the 05 core car. Tom beginning to... Oh, and there's just a little bit of a lock up on the oil dry there, going into the corner before Oak Tree, Rick, and that's the issue there.
And you see how big he got off there, and that has become a major place right there, because there's actually like an inch or two down that has been worn away throughout the course of this weekend. You hit it just wrong, and the car is just bouncing through there.
Well, here's the deal. Tom Kimber-Smith has closed it to 1/10 of a second to Dane Cameron. Cameron's going to have to keep digging because Tom Kimber-Smith is pressing forward, followed by Kyle Marcelli, Tristan Nunez, and Rusty Mitchell. Mitchell rounds out the top 5.
And you'll notice that Tom Kimber-Smith is only on his 3rd lap, whereas Dane Cameron's on his 5th lap. In other words, Tom Kimber-Smith sat there on pit lane, let everybody else work out the track, and then he went out and started running.
There's a look at Kyle Marcelli. Brian Alder's team, bar 1, took the victory at the last round. Good for that team. And we heard Damian Faulkner talk about confidence earlier. I think it's really given this team a lot of confidence. And Kyle Marcelli, so strong in prototype challenge cars over the last couple of years and showing exactly what he's made of.
And 5 minutes left, so the session is official. We've had 10 minutes of green flag racing. Watch the top of the left-hand side of the screen. 141, 142, 142.8.
Closes it down, but still not enough.
Now here is Tom Kimber-Smith, currently sitting in second position. Tom really wanting to make some kind of impression here. 42, 105, and goes to provisional pole position.
Oh, and then a big lockup.
Oh, you don't want to do that when you've got to start the race on the tires you qualify on.
But you can change one tire. One tire. So if that was a flat spot on the right front from the lockup into turn 1 under braking, perhaps they would change it for the race. But Tom Kimber-Smith is not going to rest on his laurels, because you've got to think that he's thinking Dane Cameron may put in another flyer.
And Dane Cameron, you look at his times, every lap he's going faster and faster. His fastest lap was on his 6th lap, but now he is 0.16 seconds behind Tom Kimber-Smith.
Yeah, he closed it down. He went quicker, as you said, Rick, and now working through the tighter sections there through turn 4 and 5, and now up through the S's.
And have you noticed the tires have passed their optimum right now? They are all over these curbs. Yeah. This has got into a little bit sloppy stuff. They're pushing very hard, trying to grasp it, but they're actually against the clock, and they're just overdriving in every way they can. I don't blame them, but you want to get pole.
But if you're the team manager, do you allow your young gun to keep doing that and maybe throw the car off the circuit, or do you say, come on, it's enough, come on?
I'd say put it back in its holster, sweet little lad. Let's wait for tomorrow.
But who's on pole?
Yeah.
Who's on pole? The 05 is on pole, and that is the second place essentially in the championship. Dane Cameron down the back straightaway trying to finish another lap.
But remember, they're not at the front of the pack at this race. They're starting in the middle, so it's not like you get by winning the pole, you have the first shot into the first turn. You're a couple rows back. How critical is that pole?
Well, the other thing as well for these guys, why it's so important is because their tyres take a little while to come up. The GT cars could get among the back of the PC field.
Which is why you want to be on the front row of the PCs,
This
but
is a
you
good
have
lap.
to have the pole.
This is a good lap, fellas, as he comes down towards the timing line just through that little left-hander, and he's taking it. Dane Cameron worth every cent of what they had to pay for him as he comes through. He held out for the money, and he's just put in the money lap with 2:22 to go.
A 1/4 of a second. Just over 2/10, 0.251 seconds over Tom Kimber-Smith. Can Tom Kimber-Smith answer back?
Here's Nunes all over the curbs, down through the roller coaster, through the hog pen, down through the final right-hander and onto the front straight, which curves slightly to the right. And again, he's got the hammer down. The clock is not his friend at the moment. He's gone over it.
No, Nunez can't answer back. Still being shown 0.7 of a second off the pace, but it's Tom Kimber-Smith who has just over 1 minute and 40 seconds to get the job done. Can he do it?
Well, where is he on the track? That's the question.
Kyle Marcelli.
And this is 4th place at the moment for Kyle Marcelli, again coming down through that tough set, really tough way to finish the lap. And now this long run, and you're pushing the throttle as hard as you can, really urging the car on, but he does a 42.4. It's not his fastest lap, and here's TKS. Tom Kimber-Smith then for the pole. There's time for one more left. That is the top 5. Is he going to be able to find 2.5 tenths as he comes to the line? Now he doesn't do it. He's found thousandths, but he's taken it down to 0.251 of a second. He'll get one more lap though, Brian.
Yes, he will. What does he have left now? Dane Cameron to the line. Can he go quicker still yet again? Here he comes. Looking at the timing and scoring screen.
But crucially, he'll be the last man across the line. So if he needs to, no, he's out of it. I think he's backed out of it. Let's see if he picks up the pace here, because he was the last man across the line before the checkered flag. Now here's Kimber-Smith heading up the hill. This, I think, will be, no, it will be his last lap. Check that, it will be his last lap with just 27 seconds to go. Justin is shaking his head.
It's a beautiful, the way he went up those S's, didn't touch a curb. As I said earlier, I thought they were getting a bit sloppy, but, Tom's actually only on his 4th lap right now, so, he's done a lot less laps.
Oh, that was lovely.
Look at him come off. Don't worry about that little twitch at the exit. That's just using the road. And as he comes down the straight, right now, the mindset, I was doing it in my race. He's trying to sit lower in the seat. It doesn't do anything for you, but you think it's going to make you quicker. As he comes down here, he could, as late as you can, braking and try and put this lap together.
And it's about precision from now on. You've got to believe the car is going to go to the millimetre where you want it to. There'll be a left, right and left to the end of the circuit. Uses all the exit. Now don't take too much curb here, Tom. The car bouncing off the road. He's got a tad wide there, but he's got on the power nice and early. Didn't lose too much momentum. He's heading towards the line. The time, 37, 38, 30. This is going to be so close. 41. No, he's missed it. He's just missed it, and the checkered flag comes out, but there's still people out there to finish their laps, Brian.
Dane Cameron out there, but he doesn't need to go any quicker. His nearest adversary, Tom Kimber-Smith, just came across the line. You've got to think that the crew will be telling Cameron on the radio, the pole is ours, but one more lap in the books for Dane Cameron. And does not go quicker, but he didn't need to. Dane Cameron in the 52 from PR1 Matheson takes the pole, and this is exactly why they hired him.
Brilliant lap, but I'm not sure why they did the last 2 laps, because he obviously after the second one, that's just put a lot of hard wear on those tires. But you know what? I mean, they had a reason for doing it.
This 18 car is still on a lap that will count. They got across the line, and this is Tristan Nunes. He looked smooth there. Now this could be, and look at the time. The time's close, but no cigar. It's gone through. Now he looked a little bit too relaxed coming through. Sometimes that is deceptive, in fairness.
Well, and I think too, the other thing to note from this is you see Michael Gouache celebrating. He's like, yeah, that's why we have Dane here. Tom Kimber-Smith, Dane Cameron, both of those cars got better and then stayed consistent at the end of the run. They improved for the first 4, 5, 6 laps, then stayed consistent. That may be telling for the race tomorrow.
Well, that is the confirmation of the top 5, a handful of fabulous drivers that have gone through and produced some fantastic entertainment. And the dash down to the first corner between the 52 and the 05 tomorrow could be very interesting indeed. And don't forget that Bar 1 Motorsports car not out of it either, and so tight again, just wringing every bit of performance out of those Continental tyres, which proved that they can go right through that session and still put fast laps in.
Well, but it's like I said, the ability to make sure that the car is good at the end of this 15-minute session, and it was for both Dane Cameron and for Tom Kimber-Smith. And tomorrow, you expect the same kind of weather, and they're going to have a nice long stint that the car needs to be consistent.
And while we're waiting for Dane to get in there and celebrate his pole, let's check in with Jeremy.
At the Delta Wing Racing Cars pit, and Catherine Legg will qualify the car this weekend. Andy, you've had a fair bit of downtime this weekend, a few problems and an off in the last session for Catherine too.
Yeah, I mean, the car's actually improved though a lot. It's only the second time that we're running the coupe. We ran it for the first time at COTA and had a few sort of new car sort of teething issues. But actually the car's performance from the first session to the second was a real big improvement. So made a few more changes at the end of between that last session, free practice 2, and now qualifying. So a bit of a stab in the dark, but we're pretty confident that we've made an improvement for qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, how difficult is it? I mean, you started off the year with a steep development curve with the coupe, with the Roadster version, and now another development with the coupe as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously changing cars mid-season is always tough, but I think it's harder for the guys back in the shop to have to keep on top of the workload, really. But we proved with the development really from Sebring to Road America, where we led the race, that you know how much progress we can make. And I think, if I'm perfectly honest, the coupe has a lot more potential than the Roadster did in the first instance. So we take everything that we learned from the Roadster, put it into the coupe, and I think I've got no doubt that we'll be able to show same levels of performance pretty soon.
And this coupe is pretty slippery on the straightaways. It's the sort of car that would suit the track both here and at Petit Le Mans Road Atlanta in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, when you put a coupe on, you lose a little bit of downforce, but you certainly the best thing is you lose the drag. So we're a lot slippier, and we're really quick in the straight lines. So that's the strength. But I mean, and that helps us in traffic as well. I mean, always race pace. We've always got better race pace than qualifying, because obviously the little bits of straights we can get past on. So that's a big strength for us. And as you say, for here and Road Atlanta for the last race at Petit Le Mans. So it should be good.
Yeah, it should be good. That's the Delta Wing. It will be Catherine Legg that qualified that car, but just finished in qualifying, fastest in PC with Jamie Howe, is Dane Cameron.
And there are smiles all around down here as Dane got out of the car. Dane, congratulations on that pole position, but you have 2 extra laps on your car and your tires more specifically than any of the other PC cars. What effect will that have tomorrow?
I think it'll be fine. The first couple laps were a bit slow with all the oil down. We figured let's go take a look at it and see. We weren't sure if the session was going to run its whole length, so we said we need to get out and get a lap just to be sure. So it will be fine. I think the car is really, really well balanced, very consistent. Just found that one lap, not sure where we got it from, but it was good enough for pole, so we'll take it. But I think we have a really great car for the race. Mike's done an awesome job. All the PR1 and Matheson boys gave me a really, really good car, so thanks very much to everyone for having me on board.
As the hired gun that's here this weekend just to get those championship points for Mike Wash, what kind of pressure does that add to you as a driver?
I mean, I've known Mike for a long time, so it's nice to be able to help out a friend. This is something he's worked absolutely incredibly hard for, harder than anyone else in this paddock, to try to win this championship. So it's great to be the guy to try to help him. It's a great view for Mike up at the front now, and it's kind of between us and the core cars. I think we're next to each other, so it's up to Mike and John to sort it out now.
A lot of drivers have mentioned the traffic around here and needing to get the clean laps during the race. How difficult will that be tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, all throughout practice, with the amount of traffic and the amount of cars off the road, that's going to be the name of the game. So we're just going to mind our own business, do our own thing, and worry about our own race.
Congratulations on pole today.
If I were the other LMPC cars, I would be worried about a statement he made early in that interview. He said, I was just kind of laying off the first couple laps. He was blindingly fast on those first couple laps, and in fact, it would have put him on the front row of LMPC, even his first lap that got him the provisional pole. When he's taking it easy, he's really fast.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
Well, I think the other thing it shows is just what a great job, and he said it, that all the guys, Bobby Orgel and his team there at PR1 Matheson did. They came up with a setup on that car that is very, very good. It's stable. It's balanced. It feels good.
But he's a guy who's earned his stripes. He's done the apprenticeship. He's come through the feeder series. He knows these tracks because he's driven here. And again, this new breed of sports car driver, Justin, that's coming from open wheel racing, and not because they're finished with open wheel racing, because they see sports cars as a genuine career choice.
Genuine career choice. Also, it shows the state of our series.
Absolutely. So
All
the
right.
big boys are out.
I was going to say, so here they go, the monsters heading out to the racetrack, because these are the most sophisticated machines that are out there. P1, well, I would say they're not restrained at all. I mean, you think about the horsepower, the tires are open, the chassis are open, 200 plus mile an hour is what they're capable of. The most high-tech race cars that you'll see today. And in Prototype 2, really the only difference is the fact that the engines are production-based, but the sophisticated aerodynamics, all of that's still there.
Yeah, and they're called prototypes for a reason. You don't have to build a long run of them as you do with the GT cars. If Brian wanted to build one, I wanted to build one, Justin wanted to build one, we'd only have to build the one, and then subject to it being legal and safe, we could go out and race it. We don't have to build 25, 50 or 200.
I wouldn't drive the one I built.
No.
I wouldn't drive anything I worked on.
I've seen the way you fold paper.
Hashtag blindingly fast.
Hashtag.
And you heard the guys talk earlier, it was Johnny Molam talk about the G-forces that they pull up through the S's as they climb the hill towards Oak Tree. Just absolutely stunning. But I think the other cool thing is when you look at the Muscle Milk entry versus the Dyson Racing entry, you have an open cockpit car versus a coupe. In the P2 category, they're all open cockpit, but just a little different mindset there in the coupe as well on the Delta Wing.
There is the coupe heading up through the S's now. Guy Smith, the Yorkshireman, family back at home, 2003 Le Mans winner with Bentley, of course. Justin has raced against him and knows him well.
And you've driven prototypes, Justin. Open cockpit, closed cockpit. Which one do you prefer? Is there a better feel, better visibility? Or
It's funny, isn't it? Like when it's raining, I actually preferred an open cockpit.
Yeah.
Because I only had one dimension, one layer, and you can see through something that's only an inch off your eyeball. Safety-wise, you sometimes feel a bit more cocooned in these prototypes with the closed cockpit. He's running down that because he doesn't care. It doesn't make a difference to them.
He's doing that on purpose, though, isn't he? To spread it out, to get rid of it?
Yeah, to spread it out, to get rid of it. But I don't think that's his job. But, you know, there's that tractor for that. But, you know, you have a lack of visibility, so he's got to look through that white side pillar there to look for the apex. We've seen it in world-class racing around the world. You adapt as a driver very fast, and really, you're a quick shoe. You get in the car, roof, no roof, you do what you have to do.
So the open cockpit, just a little better visibility, but
and you're exposed to the elements. I remember my first time at Daytona, sitting there in Kevin Jeanette's 966, we called it. And it's funny, Dad and the other driver said, "Oh, you can drive it now." I went, "Why is that?" Because it was a bucket. I went round in the rain on the banking and filled it up.
It was a bathtub at 215 miles an hour.
It was
Lucky
a bucket.
you.
Oh, this is the
0-1.
0-1 car, and the trials and tribulations for the championship contender continues. Scott Sharp at the Oak Tree corner has gone straight off and damaged the front end of the car. Heavy contact with the tyre wall. He hasn't even come across the line. That is his outlap, and Rick, championship implications.
And you think about it, this was not just a weekend where he needed to do well. He needed to not make any mistakes. And this team has had nothing but problems. They had the problem with the transmission where it over-revved, and now we've got a problem with him going off.
Oh, and you see bits coming off the front as Scott Sharp pulls away from the scene of the crime up into Oak Tree. We've seen this all weekend long.
He just ran too fast in there. I mean, you know what? He must really miss that tree. He's longingly looking for it as a reference point. He just carried too much speed in there. The car goes through a series of compression just as you hit the brakes, and, you know, unfortunately, a mistake.
Now, he's got to hope now that they haven't damaged the tyres, because you can change the front splitter, you can change the nose cone, left-hand side damage. What you can't do in this session is change a tyre. You can change between this session and the race, one tyre. But right now, you are locked into those 4 marked tyres, and if he's damaged them, he is then not going to be able to go back out again. And that, with 14 points between him and Marino Franchitti. That looks a big gap, but just 2, Rick, between him and Scott Tucker, and that's who they believe they're racing for the championship.
That is what the team is completely focused on, and when they bring this car in, once again, they've had such trials and tribulations. Very few laps run yesterday. I think they only ran a couple of laps yesterday, nothing real at speed. Then today in the first session, they went out and had the same gearbox problems again. The good news is they believe they have fixed the gearbox problems, but now they have to contend with this.
I don't think they damaged the tires. That's such a slow corner. He didn't spin. Any loss of lateral speed was on the grass, but this bodywork is well messed up at the front.
I think the thing he's got to worry about is that bodywork pushed into the tire, and as he ran it back, did it cut that tire? Did it make a groove?
We saw no smoke, did we? But
no.
Who knows what happened in there. And for our viewers watching this, what's amazing, we look at this bodywork and we go, God, let's put another nose on. I don't know. What do you reckon? What do you reckon, Joe? What, 15 grand?
15 easy.
20,000?
Yeah.
I mean, that's racing is an expensive sport.
And meantime, whilst we were watching that and all the drama is going on behind him, Guy Smith, we heard Johnny Molam saying earlier on that they were going out to make a big noise with this little 4-cylinder turbo, and Guy Smith has delivered. A big noise, small time. 1:36.347.
2.0 liter 4-cylinder turbo in the Dyson entry, running up against the Honda power plant that is in the 6, and that is a very different power plant. 3.4 liter 90-degree V8, and there's a look at Muscle Milk and a look at the top speed that the Delta Wing can deliver.
That's another 2-liter 4-cylinder against the big engine and the sophistication, and twice as heavy, don't forget. Yep. That Muscle Milk car ran about 1,000 kilos, 2,250 pounds, half the weight. The Delta Wing, half the frontal area, tiny front tyres. Let's see how the 6 car does. Klaus Graf goes across the line and does not take pole position.
You know, we've been talking about championships in each one of the classes so far. There is no championship to worry about here. We've already had it won by Muscle Milk. So really what this boils down to is they're now trying to just go for the records. How many wins can they get? Can they win all the way out? But having said that, and the fact that they're trying to do as well as they can, talking with the team this week, they were really happy to hear that Guy Smith was going to be here. They want the competition.
They definitely want the competition. The nose going back on the 0-1, they had to go get the spare. You don't expect to do a lot of changes, and it doesn't look like it's going on well.
And that is very bad news, because if any of the mounting points aren't quite right, that is just piling up the agony for later on, and that did not go on, slip on as easy. If you've got to put that much work into it, the worry is that it doesn't seat correctly, and then the massive aerodynamic loads that are blowing up underneath those louvers on the right hand side, under the wing, and the airflow at 200 miles an hour or 170 miles an hour here. I'm not happy about that, if I'm honest. Here is Klaus Graf.
He's wrapping up this lap. You know, I think the lap before was a warm-up. Never underestimate Klaus Graf.
No.
He is on it right now. That was a little tough going through that right-hander. He's very hard upshift through here. It's the momentum as you run across this left-hand curb here, thinking all about the carrying the speed through onto the last corner. He's very tidy though, Brian. The car's moving, but these are prototypes. They move.
He was a little bit more on the curb than I thought he might be. Has Guy Smith woken a sleeping giant? Graf not going to get it done this time. And right now, Muscle Milk has something that they've not had all season long, and that is some serious competition in qualifying. As Guy Smith is even quicker that last lap.
Yeah, 35.965. And meantime, the right car with Brian Briscoe at the wheel, right car for Scott Tucker's championship aspirations, Rick, is leading in the P2 category.
Yeah, and looking very nice at it. Once again, fastest so far by just a touch. And really, at this point, both of the level 5 cars are in the first and second position. I don't think they're going to try to manipulate qualifying. That's too complicated. Just go out and run as fast as you can. But if in a perfect world you can get your car on the pole and be in the right place, then you live happily.
Now, where is the second ESM car? Because I'm not seeing that on the out. It pops up into 5th position with Johannes van Overbeek, and there he is, the distinctive orange side panels to the helmet, sitting down in 5th position overall. And in fact, he
it sounds like he's off. Yeah. Sounds like he's off of it just a little bit. And when you look at the times for Briscoe at 39.8 to Johannes van Overbeek's 41 flat, that's a big gap there.
But the pressure's on this car now. With problems for the 01, they've got to get among the level 5 cars, because at the start of the race, as we have done 10 minutes, so this session is official, the times we've been talking about will set the grid. I mean, that's a 140. He's got to get in amongst those 2 black cars at the front and try and run some interference.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously they don't have to clinch it this weekend. The secret is not to do anything bad, because you never know what's going to happen at Petit Le Mans. If something were to happen with the Tucker car, they weren't able to score points, they could be able to get back. Nothing able to move up right there. Interesting look of those 3 cars, the coupe, the Delta Wing, and then this P2 open cockpit.
Right now, Guy Smith holding down the point with a 35.965. Next up, Klaus Graf, a 36.169.
I mean, now, do you even bother going out with the 01 car? You've got 4 minutes left. You're going to have to start from the back of the grid. You maybe can play with some different tyres and just take the penalty, start off the back of the grid, or do you try and put a banker lap in and get ahead of some of those GT cars?
But I mean, I think you got to go out there. If you didn't damage your tires, you're not going to have to start at the back. If you keep the same 4 Michelins on, you'll be okay. You can change that damaged bodywork. So get out there, get a lap, and see if you can get up towards the front. What you don't want to have to do is fight your way through.
No, I agree.
Yeah, it's a huge difference between starting on the 3rd row and starting all the way at the back of this pack.
13th row, yeah.
This is the widest narrow track I've ever been on.
Or is it the narrowest wide track?
Well, you know what?
What do you mean? What
I mean is this, and when you drive around in a road car, you go, well, this is, well, look at it, it's 4 cars wide. When you drive it at speed, like the amazing speed these guys are doing, it's like threading a needle.
Yeah. Klaus Graf running out of time, just over 3 minutes to go. And he is using up everything that he's got in this HPD chassis. The time up in the left-hand side, no, but is he backing off to get a run on this one? Was he caught in traffic that last time by? Because that lap considerably off the pace.
What he's not done is, to me, he hasn't been leaning on that car as much as I thought. Now he is.
He's on it now. You see the back moving through there. We discussed it earlier. Remember, when you back off, you actually mess up 2 laps if you back off on the wrong place.
Lots of trying now.
Okay, it's all gone wrong.
That was trying a bit too hard, Klaus.
And that's the thing about these prototypes. You don't want to be on those curbs like that. I mean, they're flat-bottom cars. That's all well and good, but they still have serious aerodynamics working for them. And you get up on the curb, and it separates one side more than the other. It upsets the suspension. It upsets the aerodynamics. And he was all over the curbs there at the exit of 3.
It's interesting looking at the last 3 races with the America Le Mans Series. 2 races ago, you had Baltimore, the concrete jungle. The last race was at COTA, the Circuit of the Americas. Smooth, big runoff, but some serious curbs. And now we've got this one, and look at that little agricultural area just off to the side, the dirt. He locks it up right there. You know, just such differences in the types of circuits that they're going to.
He actually hit the left-hand apex on the way in there, and that just bounced him across. Then you ran out of road, and then you hit the dip, and then you go, I have to now break down to 2nd gear. It's
and that started again 3 corners before he had the incident. You get out of sequence with the track here, you get out of rhythm. It's like the downhill skier who's getting it all wrong through the yumps. It gets progressively worse.
So we're watching corners where they're going between, let's say, 110 and 160, 70, 80 miles an hour and having no problem with them. The corners where they're doing 25 to 40 miles an hour, they're absolutely stuffed on.
Klaus Graf is in, and you heard Lucas Lohr say earlier, we've been struggling with this car this weekend, and perhaps, well, I say perhaps, they were basically out of time, just over a minute left to go. Have they handed the pole to Guy Smith and Dyson Racing?
Yeah, can't get back around now, so even if they did a pressure change or something like that, that car is going no further in terms of improving its time. Meanwhile, Johannes van Overbeek is still sitting down in 5th position. His best of 140.743.
He needs a half a second to improve past the 5.52.
But Scott Sharp has got out there.
And at least he is now in 10th overall, which would put him on the 5th row.
Yeah.
So there's a look at Sharp, working his way through turn 4, 5, and 6, and up through the S's. I don't think he'll get around for another lap. Jamie?
Well, I just checked in with Scott Sharp's engineer, and they told me that when they came in to do that nose change, they did evaluate the tires, and luckily for Scott, it didn't look like there was any damage, so they shouldn't have to change tires before the race tomorrow. So clearly, Scott just trying to get some track time and try to get a good time laid down.
Well, and what he is now is, you know, he is 21 cars better than he would have been if he'd not put a time in when he goes across the line. And, you know, just put that in perspective in terms of going through to the first corner. That's 21 cars you don't have to pass before you get back to the leads. Now, everybody's out of it now.
Yeah, Johannes van Overbeek dropping that 100 feet from the back straightaway down to the front straightaway. He's off of it. Says, boys, that's all she's got right now.
But the good news is the car is handling. He will know that at least. And they can sort of set themselves up for the race tomorrow.
Well, look at this. Guy Smith for Dyson Racing. You heard Johnny Mollem say, we want to end this season. Towards the end of it, we want to make an impression, and they have. For Klaus Graf, just could not find the handle on the 6. Jamie?
Well, for Guy Smith, his engineer, Vince Wood, look at the sticker on his fire suit. It says, terrific. It's the first pole that you've earned this season. You just got that sticker. What does this pole position mean to the team after the struggles this season?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, you know, this year we've been quite close in qualifying, but it's really been a really tough year for us at Dyson Racing. So, for me personally, this is my last ALMS race, last ALMS qualifying. So, you know, I really wanted to leave here with pole position, but you know, Muscle Milk guys are a fantastic team, and I knew it was going to be tough, but to get it done feels fantastic. And you know, excited for the race tomorrow. Driving with Johnny Mollem this weekend, and hopefully we can give those guys a run for the money.
Congratulations, and again, terrific job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Spectacular job. And P2, the championship, remember? It is at stake. A lot of strategy yet to be played, but starting off well for level 5.
That is exactly what Scott Tucker wanted to see. He'd have took that all day till next Tuesday before this session started with his 2 cars on the first and second positions, and the better story yet is the 01 car, his nearest challenger, down in 4th position.
Marino Franchitti and Ryan Briscoe just talking things over a moment ago. They're in 2 different cars, but Ryan, you guys have the same goal. Marino made it very clear earlier. The goal is to get Scott Tucker the championship. You're sharing the car with Scott, so you've got the most important job of all. So how key was this pole position today?
It's big. You know, I think this part of the weekend is always so much fun because Marino and I get to go out there and just wring the car's neck and drive it hard. And let me tell you, this is one of the most exciting tracks to qualify around. It is crazy fast. That was a lot of fun. So really happy to get the pole and Marino second. So great effort by the whole team, and we'll try to keep it that way tomorrow.
We know there'll definitely be some strategy involved with both those cars to help the 551 and Scott Tucker, but what sort of pressure is there on you to get that boss the best position possible?
It's tough. Really, you just don't want to screw up, and it's really difficult around here. You know, I'm going to be driving tomorrow probably around an hour 45. It's going to be scorching hot, around 90 degrees, and there probably couldn't be a worse track for traffic. It's going to be really hard here. It's my first time racing at this track, and I just hear terrible things from everybody. So I think it's going to be exciting, though. We've been making a lot of changes to the car today, and in qualifying it's the best it's felt all weekend. So I'm really happy about that, and I think we just got to keep our cool tomorrow as much as we can, stay out of trouble and bring it home.
All right, congratulations, Ryan.
2 hours and 45-minute race. It's not 2:44, it's not 2:40, it's 2:45. You got to get it back around, and anything can bite you. Tomorrow, you see it right there. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN3 and ALMS.com, and then Sunday at 5:30 on ESPN2. Danger lurks around every corner. 5 different classes out there at the same time.
And it's going to be a great race. Only a couple of places to pass. Everyone's got to bring their A game tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you're going to find consistency, discipline, and keeping out of trouble easier said than done.
And the championship's at stake at 4 different classes. It'll be interesting to watch.
I mean, you heard Justin say it. It's narrow, it's tight, and it is going to be tough. We saw dirt being brought back on the racetrack, mechanical problems for cars, all of that. It is going to be an awesome, awesome event. Thanks for joining us, everybody, for qualifying. Make sure you join us for the race. For John Hindhoff, Justin Bell, who's in for Johnny O'Connell this weekend, Rick DeBrule, Jeremy Shaw, Jamie Howe, and Kelly Stavis. We'll see you tomorrow for the Oak Tree Grand Prix from VIR.